going to talk about Proud2BMe On Campus, which is a really exciting new national initiative to bring students, faculty, and campus services together in the fight against eating disorder. This was born out of the Collegiate Survey Projects. So basically, we surveyed 165 colleges and universities because we received a high volume of requests for eating disorder-related campus services and places that people could go on their campuses when they were confronted with these kind of issues. We found that 10 to 20% of college-aged women and 4 to 10% of men have suffered from eating disorders, and we found that greater funding and resources are necessary on college campuses for education, for screening, and to treat students who are struggling with eating disorders. So we know that with early detection, intervention, and awareness, we can make a difference. So bringing Proud2BMe on campus to your school can look a million different ways. It could be starting a club, promotes, it could mean hosting events. It could also mean discussing media literacy with friends and with staff. It could mean putting resources in your resource center, your wellness center, or your women's center. All of those things are part of the Proud2BMe on Campus initiative, and it really involves originality and creativity. So first, I'd really like to thank the Recovery Village for their generous support on the Proud2BMe on Campus initiative. And finally, we have come to the part where I will introduce our wonderful guests for the day. We have 5 incredible student activists here from California State University, Northridge, who are working with to raise awareness and spread body positivity across their college campus. So I would love it if you all could introduce yourself and just say a little bit about yourself before we begin. Start with George.
All right, I'll start. So my name is George. I'm a broadcast journalism major, graduating this spring, so I'm really excited about that. I'm planning on going to grad school here at Cal State Northridge for communication studies, as well as my ideal job will be to work for a nonprofit or public communications or community engagement.
Great, thanks, George. Jessica Atkins, would you like to go next? And then also afterwards, I think if you could mute it when you're not speaking, your face keeps popping up because of that background noise. So Jessica, if you could introduce.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No
problem. I'm Jessica Atkins. I'm graduating this spring as well. I'm a journalism major, mainly like general journalism. I mean, once I graduate, like I plan to try and just go in anywhere in the field, reporting, anchoring, maybe even radio. So I just have a real like interest in journalism right now, which is how I got kind of into the project, working with a journalism professor for our Women, Men, and Media class. So that's kind of where I like started getting really into the campus activism and everything, and bringing awareness to the different like body image issues and eating disorders that we have around campus.
Great, thanks.
I'll mute my microphone.
Awesome. And now, if we could have Jessica Bermudez.
Hi, I'm Jessica Bermudez. This is only my second semester here at Cal State Northridge, and I was really interested in this whole organization once Eisenstock introduced it to me, and I was really interested in bringing awareness on body image issues and how that can lead to eating disorders. And yeah, I'm also a journalism major and hoping to do public relations here.
Great. Thanks so much, Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren Lanos. I'm also a graduating senior along with George. My major is broadcast journalism with a minor in communication studies. I just applied to graduate school at Columbia University for the journalism graduate program. I became involved with the project. Well, I've known Dr. Eisenstock since I was a freshman in college. I had my first journalism class with her, and she has opened my eyes in ways that I never saw possible, and just becoming involved in the project with her was especially empowering and just made me want to become more and more involved. So I worked with her for a year. I was her teaching intern. So I was also not as involved in the project, but still helped in whatever way I could at the time. And then this semester, I was lucky enough to be the student scholar and project manager on the project, and just really have my hands in kind of everything, as far as delegating and scheduling and just figuring out what we can do and how much awareness we can bring to the campus.
Great. Thanks, Lauren. And lastly, we'll have Daisy introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daisy. I am the facilitator for the JADE program. JADE stands for Joint Advocates on Disordered Eating. And pretty much we're a peer health education program that teaches, spreads awareness about eating disorders and body image concerns. And this year especially, every year we try to make NIDA Awareness Week a really big event, but this year we really want to branch out and reach populations that maybe we haven't before. So we're trying to work as much as we can with different organizations, including Proud2BMe, and also like the Veterans Resource Center. We're also working with a transgender awareness group that speaks about eating disorders as well. So we really are just trying to make it a really big event and spread awareness in any way that we can.
Great. Thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. And let's just jump right into it. I would love to hear from each of you sort of what kind of activities, what kind of
Oh no.
is happening at Calcium is coming, and I guess it makes sense for me to call on you. So if Lauren, you could go first and just say sort of how you're involved, what kind of activities you've been putting on and events.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I'm a student scholar and project manager, which mainly means I'm more focused on the overall picture, and so I'm more looking at each day's events, and I'm just planning things out more than anything, not so much having my hand in designing something like Jessica Bermudez, but I more make sure everything gets done and make sure we're all on the same page, which is essentially kind of difficult because we all run on very different schedules. And I am more of like a liaison between Dr. Eisenstock and all the rest of the students, and I try to help in whatever way I can. So right now, my biggest event that we're planning is for Wednesday, February 25th, which is an all-day event that we're having on campus. We're going to be tabling along with Daisy and Nita, and tabling just to raise awareness and having activities, and also having a guest speaker. And I also have the pleasure of getting an interview with the guest speaker after, because I am a broadcaster as well. So I get to interview her privately and get a one-on-one that we can also send to Proud2BMe On Campus.
That's really exciting.
Yes, no, I'm excited.
Congratulations on all your hard work.
Thanks.
Yeah, because you mentioned Jessica Bermudez, maybe Jessica, you could speak a little bit about what you've been doing.
Well, definitely. Like I said earlier, we are definitely trying to spread the awareness, especially with our organization and the issues. So I created, we all actually came up with this idea to make tear-off compliments. So we're going to put up 1,000 copies, Jade's going to help us out with those 1,000 copies of tear-offs. So each one will say, "You're amazing," or something very positive about people's bodies. And at the top it's going to say something like, "Media's picture-perfect body images can hurt your body confidence." So something that people can just realize that media has a huge effect on people's ideology of a perfect body.
Yeah, absolutely. And 1,000 copies, that's a ton.
Definitely. So there's going to be a lot of students helping me out to put them all over campus. So hopefully we get the message out there.
Absolutely. And George, would you like to speak a little bit about what you've been doing?
Yeah, of course. So one thing we've been working on is the storytelling booth, and the concept of the storytelling booth is to gather thoughts and ideas of students here at CSUN and seeing how media affects them in regards to what the ideal body image is for them. Not only that, but also if they have any other stories that revolve around eating disorders or from friends, family, or themselves, we were able to give them the time to talk to it, and their stories could influence and help other people in the future, as well as help us understand that CSUN does need to spread awareness and other campuses need that as well. And we're actually going to start another one because this last one we did was 2 hours long, so we're going to have more students come in and have more footage so we can bring it back to you guys.
Wow, that's awesome. I'd love to hear what has been some of the response to the storytelling booth. Like, who's been involved and what have you been finding out?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot about filtering like images, like how people post a picture, and is it always filtered? Do you always put a filter on? There was an interesting one about an app that actually transforms your whole body. You can cut off like sides of your body. You can change your hair color, your eyes, make you thinner, things like that. So that's really bizarre to see that people really do use that, and that it's out there for people to use as well, and it's so easy to get it. As well as there was other things about their family. So some people say that their family has a big say on their body image or what the ideal body image is from their culture and backgrounds like that. And CSUN is one of the most diverse CSUs, and now we're the largest one. So it's great to see that we have so many different types of students here.
That's incredible. Yeah, I saw some of the footage so far from the storytelling booth, and it's incredible how vulnerable and honest the students were with you, which proved that you created a safe space for them, and that's really awesome. So I applaud you guys on that, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing the final. Jessica Atkins, would you like to share a little bit about your activism and your part in this whole big project?
Well, basically, I was helping out in each of the activities that were kind of just talked about. So, like the storytelling booth, they kind of went there. I was able to actually go in the room and like listen to some of the stories too. And with the Get Real project, like what we did was basically like the first week of classes, Eisenstock, the professor working on it with us, she just asked, if students wanted to become involved in this project, and I really didn't even know much about it, but I decided, hey, I might as well go to the meeting, and like I wanted to just involve myself in as much as possible. But in every meeting we just really like try to sit and come together and think about like different activities that will actually work, because some of the activities we know that people won't participate in, or it's going to be a little bit harder. But we just thought of like different ways we could connect through social media, through Twitter, Instagram, and just different ways that we could reach college students. So I really enjoyed like working with Jessica and George and everyone on the storytelling booth. And then when we found out about the tear-offs, like we just tried like a trial run, and it was really exciting because like 2 hours later, all the compliments were gone. So it was like, whoa, it actually worked. So it was like positive to see that like what we were doing was working, and it just felt good to try and be a part of that. So I'm just excited for like the project as a whole, and like for the activities coming up this semester and for this week too, or next week.
Yeah, that is really awesome to see sort of directly the effects of your hard work, and also, those people who are tearing off those compliments, there has to be sort of a spark that you feel, even though you're taking it from yourself and someone isn't necessarily saying it to you. Reading those words can have those self-affirming feelings, invalidating emotions. So that's really awesome. And I want to say, if you want to check out the Get Real Digital Media Literacy Toolkit, that's on the proud2beme.org. So you can check that out and see all the hard work that Jessica and her. So lastly, Daisy, would you like to speak a little bit about your involvement?
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of kind of the back end of things, so securing funding for the events, making sure we have money for the speaker, that we have facilities for the tabling fair. We play a big role, the JADE organization, in Mirrorless Monday, so we actually have to get permission and execute it, get the volunteers, set up a time when everyone can come and do it. So that's kind of been our big role, making sure all the back end stuff is taken care of, the flyers, so anything that needs to be like on the production side, we've been kind of taking care of that just because we have done this for a couple of years, and then we try to just, any organizations that want to partner with us, we try to help their ideas come through in development, so just working together. For example, with Proud2BMe, we have like a huge copy machine, so making sure they have the copies and the right tape, so just facilitating events so that they can happen pretty much has been our big role.
A little bit about JADE, what that stands for, what it's all about.
Yeah, of course. So JADE stands for Joint Advocates on Disordered Eating, and so it's a peer health education program. Students have to apply. There's a whole interview process. It's not just the club. You can't just get in. You have to be interviewed, and we have to check the resumes just to make sure, because this information that we talk about, that we deal with, eating disorder and body image issues, it's pretty difficult to talk about, and we wouldn't want just anyone going out speaking to other individuals about this information if they're not capable of doing so. So we train students to give presentations about these topics, mostly to the CSUN community because we're here and they really like us to come out to their classrooms, but anyone who wants us to come and present, we're more than willing to. We've done it to elementary schools for parents in Spanish, so for parents that were interested that don't speak English. We have students, again, as George mentioned, CSUN is so diverse, so we're so lucky that a lot of our students speak many different languages and can kind of reach out to their own different communities, and we welcome all of that. And we do events throughout campus as well as presentations, so a lot of tabling events where we get invited, but definitely National Eating Disorder Awareness Week is one of the biggest type of events that we have for the semester.
Yeah, so you're involved with a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and it seems like
Yeah.
all of you play spec management to the securing funding, which we know it couldn't happen without funding, and logistics, to the ideas. I mean, it's all sort of this, it's really amazing to witness that and hear a little bit about it. So I would love to hear, for the five of you, why awareness and body image, body positivity, why is it important on a college campus in particular? And Daisy, because you went last, so why don't you go first this time?
Yeah, of course. So a lot of, we get feedback from, because we are housed in the counseling center, so we get feedback from the psychologists as to what students are coming in with, what are the issues that they're talking about and are concerned with and have anxiety over. And a lot of it is kind of the social media aspect of it. And as I mentioned, it seems like people are understanding that celebrities have this whole entourage that keep them going, but when they see their friend's image and their friend looks so well put together and has this great life, like, since the friend and them are kind of on the same level, they start to question what they look like and how they are. And so, again, in being in college, it's kind of already stressful enough without having to deal with that anxiety. So we always just like to spread the awareness of respecting your body. We know that some days are better than others. Everyone has their good and bad days, but always remembering that we are very fortunate, I think, is always a great way to reach out to students, and they can kind of resonate with that. And it's just important, because we do get a lot of students that come in that are just having a hard time looking in the mirror and not being able to concentrate, and it's really sad, because you should be having fun in college. So it's one of the main reasons why we try and just spread as much positivity as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And George, what about you? Why do you feel like it's really important, and also why is it important, particularly on a college campus, and why are you personally invested?
Yeah, I definitely think it's important at college campus because this is a time where high school students, or for the most part, you're transitioning into the college experience. You're kind of leaving your parents behind, you're independent, so now you're watching your own eating habits, you're getting more used to being by yourself, meeting new people, getting their habits as well, and interacting with them. And I think spreading awareness and making sure they know where to go if they need help, what signs to look for, what they need to do if anything like that happens, it's important, as well as there is a high percentage, like you mentioned earlier, that college students are at risk of eating disorders. And especially now with media increasing so much, it's not only affecting women, but it's also constantly affecting men. And especially with, like, for us, it's like more like bulking up, more things like getting bigger, things like that. So for girls, it's more about losing weight. But now I see a lot more cases with guys as well. So it's good to spread awareness that it's not only a women issue, but also a man issue. And I myself, I see it a lot. I'm invested into the program because I love giving back to the community, as well as making sure that I do have friends and family who have suffered from eating disorders. So I want to make sure the students do know. I'm making sure that we can serve as mentors for other students here at CSUN, for them to understand that it's important to recognize those signs and help other people as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And does anyone else want to add anything else that Daisy and George didn't mention?
I do. When we worked on the storytelling booth, I really realized how many people actually came out and started talking about their eating disorders and their body image issues, and I had no idea. It was someone that was sitting next to me in class, and someone riding their bike to class, etc. And it's everyone around us that has some sort of body image issue. And that's what I like about this organization. We really are here to spread awareness and give positive like as simple as these tear-offs, that we give positive affirmations to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And does anyone else want to add anything before we move on?
Yes, I want to piggyback on what Jessica just said. I think there's like just so many pressures as a college student, and I feel like more than ever, like we're our own worst critics, and I think we are in our own heads so much, and we put it's like with everything. It's with body image, it's with my own grades. It's no one's putting this pressure on me besides myself. And I think learning to control that and learning to understand that we're not alone and that we're all kind of going through this, and we all have things we'd like to change about ourselves, but that doesn't diminish our self-worth, and that isn't something that we should let control you. We're not always going to be happy all the time. It's just that's not a achievable goal. But to just be confident and to know that you have your own self-worth I think is the most important thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and also if people aren't particularly comfortable talking about, if they're not asked directly, if they're not in a booth where it's a designated time, because we're not taught to talk about our insecurities or the things that make us unhappy about ourselves, especially with what Daisy was saying with Instagram and showing the best version of our lives. Or it can put a lot of pressure on you, and then to have people say this is a place and this is a time where we can talk about it. So yeah, so does anyone else have anything to add before I move on to next?
Mm-hmm.
We do have an Instagram that we're starting up. It's Proud2BMe_CSUN. So follow us.
Yes. Awesome. So everyone check that out. That's really exciting. So yeah, just for some context on that, CSUN is our first official Proud2BMe On Campus school, an affiliate. So it's really exciting to hear that there's a branch of that with its own social media channel, and that's happening right now. So go check them out for sure. So moving on, I just want to sort of ask a little bit about what effects you guys hope this work will have on your campus. You've talked about spreading positivity, and you've talked about making people feel better about themselves, but is there anything else that you want to add, maybe specifically about things that people can take away?
Can I?
Yeah.
I think that I really just want to learn how to, I don't know how to word it. I want to be able to take like the stuff that I learned from here and take it to like my own like family and friends too, because I don't know, I know that I feel like I know a lot of people who are really closed off. A lot of my friends are really closed off, and I just think it's important that if we're learning these things here, we can use it for like not just for all college students, which is important, but also for like our own families and like our own closer relationships. That's just something that I would personally want to do, because I mean, I like I said, a lot of people in my family, a lot of friends, like we don't really like to talk about our body image issues, and in my family especially, I have a huge family. They're always like, you see them and months later they're like, oh, did you gain some weight? Like, it's always like those little like comments that you hear, and so I mean, I definitely want to like take it back to family and friends and hope that I can be like, kind of like a mentor in a way, or like just able to be there for people to talk to and make it easier.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that bridging that gap a lot of the times between whether it's extracurriculars in college or what you're learning in the classroom to your communities, to your families, to your friends, that can be sort of the second phase and the second part of the work. So I think it's really important that you brought that up. Does anyone else want to add on?
Yeah, so kind of just, again, adding on to what Jessica said, giving students and anyone that's impacted by our programs the ability to have a discussion about these issues, I think, is kind of one of my main goals that I want everyone to walk away with. Not everyone that we encounter from past experience has been understanding of what we're trying to talk about. They think that we're taking a side or for whatever reason, but we're met sometimes with confrontation. And I think these issues can be a little difficult to talk about. So it's up to everyone and whenever they're ready, but definitely just having that ability to kind of think inwardly of their actions and what they're doing, and looking at kind of the images they may be looking at and seeing what's really behind them. Just having that kind of moment where you check in is what we really want students and anybody to walk away with, to have that ability to kind of process and not let it go over you and affect you so much, but thinking about it critically, talking about it. So that's kind of what we really hope that students always walk away with when they leave any of our presentations or events or anything like that.
And I think that sort of instilling people with those critical thinking skills, that'll carry on to all the different parts of their lives. So the fact that it's specific to body image or specific to media, that's something that they can then take and just sort of transfer to all the different things that they're seeing.
Yes.
So it's great. Great. So I want to ask a little bit about, specifically with college students, I mean, eating disorders, body image, it all has a lot of intersections, and the way that we talk about it, the way that's represented in the media, the way that sort of the narrative is written around eating disorders, depending on race, class, gender, sexuality, all of those different things. And I think with college students, there's probably a lot of intersections there too, that there might be some specific experiences to students in college that do intersect with body image. And I'd love to hear a little bit about what you think needs to be part of the conversation if we're talking about college students and body image, or college students and eating disorders. So whoever wants to jump in.
Well, am I off mute?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. Well, as I kind of mentioned before, I think like talking about like drugs and alcohol use is a big thing. Just education on that period, because coming into like, especially if you're living in the dorms, this is one experience I could say is like coming in from living at home your whole life and then moving into the dorms with like a bunch of people your age, and like, you know, you're thinking college life, like what is that college life really going to be about? And I feel like more education is just needed for like on drugs and alcohol abuse, and that does really affect people's you know, self-confidence. Like some people use drugs to, you know, as ways to, you know, try and lose weight or whatever the situation is. People are using drugs and to maybe help their confidence, and that's not the way that we want to go about it. It's like teaching more on that, I feel like is really important, because especially in college age right now, like you learn so much more like about, you know, partying, all that, like all that whole lifestyle. So if we start, you know, especially like freshman year, just like, you know, taking this information to the dorms and bringing out drug and alcohol abuse especially, I think that's important too.
Yeah, absolutely. They often do coexist. Eating disorders are, you know, there are conditions where there can be things on top of that, depression, anxiety, and a lot of people may look to treat both of those things or all of those things with substances, and I think that does feel really relevant when it comes to college students. Does anyone else have anything to add?
Well, I live at the dorms. I'm actually at the dorms right now. And, you know, I have 3 new roommates. I just moved out of my home. This is my new family, so every time I come home, we actually talk about body image issues all the time. We'll sit on the balcony, we'll sit there and talk about body image issues, and it's definitely, what I'm trying to say is, it's really nice to come home and talk to someone about these issues rather than turning to something else. If you just can find someone to talk to someone about these issues, I think you can relieve a lot of that pressure on your shoulders.
Right. Absolutely. Just not sweeping it under the rug, but opening that dialogue.
Yeah. And then it could just be one-on-one. You don't have to. Just find someone you can trust, or even a counselor, like Daisy suggested. We have counselors on campus. Yeah, there's different ways to cope these issues.
That actually brings me to a question around sort of where would you go on campus if you needed help around these issues, or if you wanted to get involved in activism? Where are the sort of the hotspots, the centers that maybe other students can look to if they're interested in doing similar things on their campus?
Well, we operate out of the University Counseling Center, so we actually have, it's 3 of us that are peer programs. So it's Jade that deals with body image and eating disorders and disordered eating, and then we have Date that deals with kind of relationships and sexual assault on college campuses, and then we have Blues that deals with depression. So we are all housed out of the counseling center. We're all supervised by psychologists, and we always welcome students that are just interested in learning more about the information. Oftentimes they want to get into career paths where they want to work with a certain population. So we're definitely, it's a great resource to have, not only because we do have these peer programs, we have psychologists on staff that are more than willing to help anybody. Everyone here, the staff all here is really great. They really care about the students, which is why they want to work on a college campus. So yeah, everyone here is just really great, welcoming. It's a lot, and a lot of the things we try to promote is the stigmas against going to the counseling center. Sometimes they tell us not to say hi to people in the waiting room if we know them, but I always think that that's so, I wish I could say hi. I'm so happy that they're coming in to kind of, because if you saw somebody at the doctor, you wouldn't think bad about them because they're taking care of their physical health, and it's also important to take care of your mental health as well. So it's definitely it really is a great center for everyone to come take advantage. And even if we do cater mostly to CSUN students because it is a counseling center, but a lot of the staff here have off-campus resources that they also give to students that have friends. We've had a lot of issues where students come in that they have a friend with an eating disorder or body image concerns, and they're not insured and they don't know where to go, and everyone here is more than willing to help come up with the resources. So we just don't like saying no when someone asks for help.
I think that that's a really great place for people to start, and is counseling centers. I know when I was in school, it was something that people didn't talk about that much, and then once people did start talking about it, it was like we realized that half the room was going or had gone.
Yeah.
And it's just something that it's something people don't talk about, and that stigma is definitely there. So I think that breaking that down is a huge part of the work that we have to do. Does anyone else have any other ideas about where someone should go, or sort of around activism, around advocacy, and around disordered eating? It looks like you guys also started through staff or through faculty at your school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're obviously just. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I don't know. I would like to see more advocacy. I'm not in a sorority, but I would like to see more sororities and fraternities involved in this, honestly, because I think it's all about image making, and they also create a certain image behind their sorority or fraternity. And I think to open that up and to show that they're compassionate and that they understand that these students are also students and are going through real problems, and to take away that, because there is a huge stigma around mental health, and I think just keeping that is so important. And when I did an interview for a news story, I actually interviewed one of the psychologists at the counseling center. It was my first time being at the counseling center, and honestly I wanted to go back every day after that because I just felt so much better about it gave me a release. Even though it was an interview, I ended up talking to the counselor for an hour and just sitting there and kind of just telling her about everything, because I did a story on stress in college students and how that played in with eating disorders and body image issues and just the pressure on ourselves. So I think that's a great place to start.
Absolutely. Great. And it's really awesome to hear that your counseling center is such a warm and inviting place.
It really was.
Because I feel like that's the case with most, or with all. And a lot of people have this idea of what what mental health, means, or mental illness means, and it's something that you're away from home, you're independent for the first time, you have a lot of stress of school, not to mention relationships, friendships, all of these things, and it only makes sense to be talking to someone who's sort of like an unbiased, person in your life, who's not affected by the drama, or they don't know you, or those kind of things.
Definitely.
I think that actually, Lauren, you sort of led really well into a question I have, which is sort of where do you hope this work will go, and what's the work that still needs to be done?
Okay, I can start.
And anyone can go.
Yeah. I mean, where do I want this work to go? I mean, as far as we can take it, honestly, spreading just, especially in college, but I think this is true in real life as well. Women see each other as competitors, and we see each other as, just as competition. And I would really like to take that away and more see us as equals and empower one another into having better ideas of body image. And because I think that can sometimes coincide with, bullying and someone, or, on Instagram, if you don't get enough likes, you think less of yourself or anything like that. So I think I would like to have specifically women, but men as well, because I do not want to leave them out of this equation, but just to empower one another and to just really take these things into real life situations, and to take what you're learning in school and through this project into real life situations and to really live by that. I think that was, that's where I would really like the project to go. But what still needs to be done, I mean, a lot of work, and you know, not all of it is gonna happen overnight, but new media, like they were all saying, plays a huge part of it. And what Dr. Eisenstock really teaches most about is media literacy, and those were terms that I never heard before her class. And understanding how the media works was so essentially important in this entire journey. And I think honestly, every middle school and maybe even elementary school, 5th grade or something, should have a media literacy class and should learn what the media is doing to us and the consequences behind it, and not to take it as media is bad, but to understand it more and to understand how to deconstruct the messages behind it.
Very well said.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, when she said competition,
I love
I
to
feel
see that support between
Oh, where'd you go?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, as far as her talking about competition and women, I think the media helps us, not helps us, but we compare our bodies to people on the media all the time. Like, I want this body, but I really want people to realize that what they have is very unique, and that's what makes them themselves. And that's where it all starts. I think that's where it all starts, definitely. As far as the media literacy, definitely people should be more aware of what they're seeing. Like, you're on Instagram, you're seeing, I don't know, 1 million pictures a day. You're just scrolling. How many messages are you getting through your head? And which ones are you actually deconstructing the message? And it's very important to understand what you're viewing, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely live in like a swipe nation right now at this point.
Yeah, fast-paced.
With Tinder and everything as well, that does not help it at all. The dating world does not help.
On what you look like and having someone like able to really quickly reject you just based on a picture.
Yeah,
Right.
they made it a game.
The Tinder game.
Yeah.
Appearance game.
I kind of wanted just to say, I know during the NEDA week you guys have like a day focusing on diversity, right? Like and I just thought that was really cool, because actually last semester I did like a quick video blog for Eisenstock, just talking about like my own experiences with like being like an African American woman and dealing with your body image. It's always about, you know, like you have on one side, oh, do I want to be like this thin girl, or do I want to have like those curves? And you can't help it if like your family members, like they have the curves, your mom had the curves, everyone, you know, so your body is probably going to turn out like that. But like we said, when we see on the media, it's completely different. We're seeing all these different shapes and sizes, but mainly it's about being thin. Mainly it's all that working out and make sure you eat your kale salad and all of that, you know, like, so I would just really like to further it to, you know, my community, black women, like you said, also empowering each other, not bringing each other down, and just really being comfortable with who we are, loving ourselves, no matter what size, shape, whatever, because I know we've all had our struggles in the past of, you know, dealing with our body image, but I just think that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we just have to just really learn to love who we are, and, you know, in our own skin. I just think that's really important, the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do have a marginalized voices day, because I think, you know, what you're saying makes so much sense about sort of the dominant narrative around, and like what the dominant media is, and it really lives out around disorder sometimes historically. So we're really trying. No one is immune to this. You know, no one. You know, cultures might have different ideals, but there are ideals in all communities. So I think that what you said is really poignant. So thank you. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything to add about sort of where, if you could sort of this off script, you could imagine what this would look like in Northridge, what would you see?
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure, yeah. I said, so you're sort of, Cal State Northridge is sort of the beginning of what will hopefully be a huge movement towards body positivity, body acceptance, and ending eating disorders on college campuses. So as the pioneers, sort of, what would your ideal image be? Let's say in 5 years, what would Proud2BMe on campus look like? And what would it look like on your campus? What would it look like nationwide?
Well, we would definitely want other schools to come up with different events as well. This is only our second semester as a, at least for this is my only second semester working on this, and we've come up with really cool ideas, and I would be really interested to see what other schools would come up with. Definitely. And on our campus, you know, spread the word and get more people involved. Definitely, I encourage it, because I even realized how much body image issues I could. How do I say this? I think I have more body image confidence because of Proud2BMe. Definitely.
I was going to say that.
And I think that when you're spreading,
Sorry. I think we have a slight delay.
To have self-love, it can affect your own self-confidence as well. And now, Lauren, take the.
Yes, thank you. To go off what Jessica just said, yeah, I would be really interested to see what other campuses come up with, especially because in these meetings for the past few weeks, we have some really good ideas, and we could have even more ideas. The problem is some of our ideas, we don't think we could execute them as well because we don't know if people would actually want to be involved in the activities. And so I think the more we could spread the awareness on the name of Proud2BMe on campus and how much more we could get out and reach out to people, I think more people would want to be involved in the activities, because we have some really great ideas, but we're just like, oh, will they even want to stop and do that with us? Will they take the time out of their day to do these things with us? So I think that would be great if we could get as many people involved as possible and to kind of get our name out there even more. And that's what we're going to try to do with social media and stuff like that, and take advantage of those opportunities there, because we have some really great ideas, and I'm sure other campuses would have awesome ideas, but we just want people to be involved with them. It kind of is two-sided in that way.
Our brains thinking about this together, the more like incredible students and activists brainstorming and passing ideas to each other, the stronger it's going to be.
Yes.
Definitely, yeah. And I think also, I was going to say something similar to Lauren, just having students actually participate, so kind of getting rid of those stigmas that keep people from participating, anybody who can't really feel like they can do that. So just education, I think, is what we all aim for, and also combating stigma. So kind of, I think we all share that, and that's probably why we did end up all working together, because we kind of have those similar goals, but different ideas to how to reach there, which is pretty great, because we work together. As has been mentioned a bunch of times, Houston is so diverse, which is so cool, because you can work with people from different backgrounds that bring different perspectives, because our campus is diverse, so we need to have programs that are diverse in order to be effective, which is what we want to be.
Jessica Bermudez mentioned this, but I'd love to hear a little bit more. She said that it made being involved with Proud2BMe on campus made her feel more confident. And I'd love to hear a little bit, lastly, about how this affected you personally as leaders, what you think you've gained, and why someone should be involved with Proud2BMe on campus. We can go down the line because I want to make sure to get everyone in this time. So actually, let's start with Jessica Atkins.
Okay. Honestly, I mean, just from Eisenstock, I mean, I wish everyone could take Eisenstock's class, because she has so much information, like, it's crazy. Like, that, I've never learned so many different terms in one class in my life. But, so definitely that class helped me a lot, just understanding media literacy, what it means to be media literate. I think once we start there, I mean, because no one thinks about that. No college student is walking around thinking, oh, I need to be media literate, you know? But, like, once I took that class and got more involved in the project, I really learned, like, I really do need to be knowledgeable about this. Like, this is important in my future, in my career, like in my everyday life with, the relationships I make, like, just that's important to me. So personally, I learned, I've learned how to be more media literate, and just thinking about, like, thinking about different issues that I may have personally with my looks growing up, or things that I may have heard growing up. I've kind of learned how to block that all out, not to constantly because some people, they'll repeatedly tell themselves, like, you're not good enough, or you may not feel good enough. But I think, like, weekly or daily, I'm just telling myself, like, you know what, just be comfortable with who you are. Don't let others dictate it. Like, worry about how you feel about yourself personally. And that has been a major thing for me. A big change for me is that I've been like, you know what, I can't think about what everybody else is saying to me or the other things that I'm seeing. I just have to know that I come first, and how I feel matters the most. So I think maybe this project has made me a little bit selfish, but I don't, it's like, it's fine, because I feel like it's good for me, and it's gonna vary, person to person. It's gonna vary, but personally for me, it's like, I'm just learning, like, every day, just be more comfortable with who you are and the places that you're going, who you're trying to be, and then you'll grow over time, So yeah.
Yeah, I think that there is always that line people, maybe especially women, are afraid of crossing, which is the difference between confidence and arrogance, and sort of being yourself and being really comfortable with yourself, and then not wanting to seem like you're like showing off or you're bragging. But, like, I don't think that you're being selfish at all, Jessica. I think that you're, like, great and doing all the great things. So yeah, let's move to Jessica number 2.
Jessica number 2. Well, what can I say? Our 20s, they're really chaotic. You're trying to find the balance of whatever it is on your plate. Being here only my second year, I was a transfer student living with my parents, and now I'm here with students, surrounded by students. And Proud2BMe really made me feel comfortable and made me feel less self-conscious about myself. And I agree with Jessica Atkins. You have to be confident with yourself and realize this is your life. You're going to go somewhere one day, and just be positive, and don't worry about your body image. Be more happy. Be a strong character, and yeah, just don't worry about your body. That's exactly what I learned about. Well, you do have to care about your body, but, like, make sure you eat. You have to eat 3 times a day, and just take care of yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. Take care of yourself. That's all.
Cool. Lauren.
Yes. Well, I'm also going to take what Jessica Atkins said, and I cannot commend Dr. Eisenstock enough with this project, because, like I said, I've had her as a professor since freshman year, so I'm going on my 4th year of knowing her, and I worked with her for a year teaching women, men in the media with her. So I've taken that class 3 times because I have sat in the class and mentored students on it, and really had the concepts just put into my brain like none other. And it has changed my life in ways that I don't even know if I could put into words, because it really opened my eyes. I was so surprised to see how many women and men didn't know who Gloria Steinem was, and didn't know who all these huge female figures are. And because Dr. Eisenstock points out that we don't really read about women in history books. We read a lot about men. And so to learn all about these different figures and what they were doing to empower women just wanted me to empower my friends and family more than ever. And it's just changed me in so many ways. And with this project in particular, I think I've learned I feel like a lot of us focus so much on like negative things people could say about you, and we kind of brush off all the positive things. And I've been really trying more to focus on the positive compliments I get and the positive things I hear. And I really have been trying to focus more on positivity and spreading that, and you know, just to not tear people down, and to realize that we all have feelings and that we're all kind of in this together and that we're not alone. And I just found that so important, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And lastly, Daisy.
So I've been with the JADE program for over 4 years, and I think how it's affected me as a leader is, again, as my other colleagues have mentioned, just being very self-aware of kind of my thoughts and my actions. Because in these positions, since we're doing a lot of new things, people, I want to say, maybe look up to us. And I know I have a lot of little siblings and a lot of my friends that I make sure that when I'm around, that I'm saying things that I feel strongly about, and that I'm making sure that if somebody else says something, I think that's been harder for me because I'm more reserved and I don't really like to be impolite or anything like that, but if somebody says something, kind of stopping them, I think has been a key thing that I've learned from being a leader, learning from people's experiences and how can these issues can really affect them, making sure that other students and individuals really don't take it lightly when they make a lot of comments, because I feel like it's very easy to joke around, or for some it may seem like it's easy to joke around about these issues that they may not be as serious as they are, but I think it's because individuals don't know how serious they are. But being in this area where I'm constantly kind of dealing with individuals suffering with these issues and just really learning their backstories and how much they've struggled, I think has given me that ability to kind of, I don't want to say like check people, but just making sure that when something is said that isn't appropriate, that it's known that it's not appropriate. Because I think sometimes people may not know also that it's not just that they're being careless or rude. Sometimes they may think that it's a harmless kind of saying. Like I know a lot of traditional families like to joke around and kind of call each other like chubby in Spanish and think of those names as terms of endearment. But I always like to point it out that you shouldn't be saying this to little children. They can take it a different way and take it to heart. And just kind of that awareness, I think that it's also easy because it can become, I think, a routine when you're in these positions. You want to spread awareness, you do these roles, but then when you have people coming up to you, telling you their experiences, it kind of resonates and reminds you why you care so much about these topics. So I think as a leader, it's kind of just being involved in all of these types of programs and working with these kind of individuals has shown me how people do care and how to kind of talk to people politely about these issues. So it's been a very great experience to have learned so much.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think it's really important that you mentioned sort of those moments of calling out or calling in or however you want to phrase it, but of really being, that's hard. I mean, that's hard at any stage of life, to be that person in the room who's like, actually, maybe there's a different way we could say that, or like maybe that could be hard for someone, or like actually think context behind that. And I think that that's actually, like, you guys are pretty fearless to even put yourselves in that position. And I think that the more that you are doing this, the more that people are viewing this hangout and see themselves as leaders and see themselves as maybe potential advocates on their own campuses, the more that we can stop those kind of micro moments from happening. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really awesome that all of you mentioned having such an incredible lead in a fact member, but I also, Dr. Eisenstock seems like a huge influence and such a mentor, and I feel like that's so fortunate to have someone like that on a college campus. But I also just want to say that if folks are sort of watching and they say, like, I don't know who I would turn to in terms of staff, you can be your own staff member in terms of those things. And it's all about connecting with peers, connecting with the wellness center, the counseling center, this, student services, and saying, like, I want to start a club. I want to start a discussion group at the counseling center. I want to partner with therapists that are already working with these issues, and I want to do the awareness aspect of it. So I think that it'd be awesome to find staff, and that might be somewhere that you go. And then also just thinking about, you can be that person as well. So yeah, so we've actually come to the conclusion of this hangout, but that doesn't mean the conversation stops here. So we encourage everyone to share this recording with family, with friends, colleagues, people on your campus, and whoever else you can think of who might be interested. And just share your thoughts using the hashtag NeedAwareness, N-E-D-A awareness. And if you're interested in additional resources, I have a few things to check out. First of all, Daisy mentioned sort of some traditional Latino families might sort of use some language about some negative body talk language in the home, and that might be an experience some people have. So George, who actually had to run about a half hour ago, but he wrote a really awesome post that's on Proud2BMe.org about his experience in that kind of situation and how that affected him. So if you search George, Jorge, or you could even search Gordito, because that's in the title. You can read a little bit more about that. So in terms of additional resources, again, check out Proud2BMe/On Campus if you're interested in getting involved. We have online screenings if you think that you or a friend might be at risk. We have toolkits, event planning, sort of activity kits, and we also have some incredible stuff that's developed by the incredible students at Cal State Northridge right here. They sort of documented all the hard work that it took for them to plan the Need Awareness events, and we have an awesome toolkit coming out about how to do that, and it's step-by-step spelled out so that you can do it on your own campus. We also have a webinar for student advocates who want to get involved, and you can just go in the search bar and type in webinar and check that out. That's in partnership with Recovery Village, who again we'd like to thank so much for this, for supporting us. And you can also check us out on all our social media channels. So we have a Twitter, we have a Facebook, we have an Instagram, we have a Tumblr, and then a B, Proud US, on the Pinterest board, and you can email info@proud2beme.org if you want to get involved and start a chapter on your own campus. So a big, huge thank you to our now four panelists, to Jessica Benitez, Jessica Atkins, Daisy Hernandez, Lauren Lanos, and George Reyes, for sharing their invaluable feedback. They've been there, they've been in the trenches, they've done all this incredible work, and we're here to sort of pick their brains, and I really thank you all for that. I also want to just say, yeah, thank you for your time, and thank you for watching. I'm Amish Karshi signing off, and it's been a pleasure hosting this event and this hangout with all of you. And just to learn a little bit more about Need Awareness Week, you can go on needawareness.org. And you could also check out proud2beme.org. If you have a friend or you yourself are suffering from an eating disorder or disordered thoughts around eating, feel free to check out our helpline. You can call it, it's 800-931.